So we are playing Valkyria Chronicles 3, which of course is only available in Japanese. And I just want to do a short demo video to show you how playable this game is. If you're a fan of the series and you played the second game, you certainly have no trouble picking up this game. The menus are slightly different, but not enough where it's that confusing. I'm currently doing the final mission in the 9th chapter, I believe. My first move, or my second move in, I'm sorry, and right now there's a big ass wall right here that I'm trying to work through. I got my tank set up to go. That's one of my weaker lancers, which is basically a tank killer who I'm going to let die. They're flashing me if I don't save them this turn, they're gone. I have a ranger up here. Love this guy. It's kind of a neat, in Valkyria Chronicles 3, the characters have more pronounced physical characteristics, so he's kind of overweight, but he's got a lot of HP. As you can see, the lower right hand corner is 382 for HP, and currently he's leveled up quite a bit. He's a long distance ranger. He can go 650 movement points, which is by far the greatest amount of movement in this game. If you played the game before, you know that it's a turn-based strategy game, and the two things you learn about first is that characters have HP, which is health points, and AP, which are movement points. And so if I show you this right now, that's the characteristics for this character. His HP is at 382, it's full. His AP only shows 50 because I moved him a couple times. He's normally 650 at the start of his turn. On the right hand side, he's got a pretty nice rifle, and he has two grenade options. He's got a short range, which is the second one, and a long range, which is the third one. I can use one or the other per turn. I can't use them both, unfortunately, or else he'd probably be too powerful. So right now, I'm just going to finish off this turn. I have a lancer up here who I used to take out a gun turret that was up here. My home base is down here, as indicated by the star. There was a sniper up here that I used to, that I had to take out with my sniper who's here. And there's also two searchlights in effect here, so there will be a mortar bombardment if I let myself be seen by them. But right now I'm okay. I'm just going to finish this turn and then we'll go on to the next one. Again, Japanese, so what? You played the game, you know that it's defaulting. From playing, if you've played 2, you know that this basically says, hey, do you really want to finish your turn? I'm going to say yes. So now, so Granny's died, my Granny Lancer. She's done. And now we're going to watch the enemy do their thing. Which might involve bulking up their base a little bit there, because I'm about to get in there and take it over. Or not. Sometimes the AI in this game can be pretty stupid. If you played 2, you know the AI can be fairly stupid, and it's no exception in 3. So this tank has a Ragnite turret on it, so the individual rounds are pretty strong. So if I were to look at him right now and see what's up, so he's a tank. If you look at the tank, you don't really look at the commander, you think about it as a tank, of course. Excuse me. So his HP is 1100, which is huge in this game, as befits a tank. His AP is 255, which is not that great in terms of movement. His CP is 1. If you haven't played this series of games, you get command points per turn. And command points are basically represented by the stars that go above the upper left of the screen. That indicates to take a move with this character, i.e. the tank, it's going to cost me 1 star out of the finite amount I have, which I believe is 8 up there right now. If I move over, you'll see the Ragnite round there. And so I'm looking at statistics for that Ragnite round. Again, it's all Japanese, but if you played this game in Valkyria Chronicle 2, which is in English and downloadable from the PSN store, as well as on physical media if you can find one, you know how this works. I mean, essentially it's telling me, hey, this thing's 278, it'll take away 278 health points from a human being, 806 from an armor opponent. The percentage of aim percentage is 79. It's got a range of 920. You can shoot 1 round at a time. I only have 1 round left out of the 3 that this vehicle is allowed. So, very straightforward if you played the game. So I can select him. Hopefully we're going to blow a hole through this door. This is a night mission, so I've equipped this tank with a lamp, which you can see in the lower left-hand corner right now. I just went into zoom mode. I'm sorry, not zoom, aim mode with my tank. So when I've been selecting the tank is now my active character. In the lower right-hand corner, I see is 1 bullet again. I see is 1100 out of 1100 H health points. The green bar indicates the health points visually. And I see that he's at full movement, which is the orange bar in the middle of the screen. If he was not at full movement anymore, which is the AP, his that bar graph would not be all the way over to the right. I can also see a mini map to the lower left. My guys are blue. The enemy is red. There's a base over there, and there's 1 ranger in that base, an enemy ranger. In the upper left, next to the 2, I see a graph for actually the health status of the door, the gate here. So he started at 1900, which is a hell of a lot in this game. It's huge, and I got 1194 to go to get him out of there. In the very left-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, is the morale gauge. You can't let that go to 0 in this game. You can die a lot, and bases can be. You can intentionally give up bases if you need to strategically to do something else elsewhere. You can have your guys die intentionally because you want to distract the enemies so you can move somebody else elsewhere. But you got to make sure that gauge does not go to 0, or else your little adventure here is over. At least in terms of this particular mission, you'd have to restart it. So again, I'm going to go to aim mode by pressing square, and this is no biggie if you played the game before, and blow a hole through the door, but not quite because I don't have enough power in my weapon to totally take out this door. So I got him down, and he's got 488 left, and I really like to get through that door this turn, so I'm just going to end this turn, this move by the tank. And now I'm going to hunt around and see, wait a minute, so I got a Lancer up here, and I can go through the menus and say, hey, okay, he's good for 553 per round here. So right now I have his Lancer round highlighted, and it indicates in the left column, first number is 162 is that Lancer's power against personnel, 553 is that Lancer's power against an armored foe. So that's enough to take that door out, because that door I believe is something like 446. If you're curious about what these other things are, the second item here just represents the shielding in terms of defense that this character has. The third is a charm, and this is where you have to do a little bit of research to understand what these charms are. You can purchase these charms and apply them to various characters to enhance that character in various ways. I do not have these memorized, so that's something where you would have to consult the guide. Certainly the Valkyria Chronicles 3 blog at WordPress is incredible for stuff like this. So let's just take this guy and select him. Let's see if I can get a shot at the door, which I can, of course. So I'm going to go back down the ladder, which I know is over here from previous turns. And there's my tank. I want to make sure I didn't step on that mine right there. And now I got an angle on the door, and I should be able to get through here. See what happens. Not quite, 35 short, but thank God. If you played the game before, Lancers used to carry only 3 rounds at a time. Well, now they carry 6, which is pretty sweet. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I'm way into the game at this point. Like I said, this is chapter 9. I believe that the Lancers even start with 6 rounds at the very start, so very helpful. So I'm going to choose him again. I have plenty of command points in the upper left-hand corner. You saw a star go away there. And shoot the door again, and voila, I'm through. Time to go in and take out that ranger and take over that base. So I can move my Lancer up, which I probably should have done earlier. Now, when characters are... Let's talk about defense here. So the enemy's in a very good defensive position. He's, number one, he's behind a sandbag barrier, or whatever you want to call it, a barrier. And 2, he's crouched. In that position, he's going to have the greatest defense he can possess. If there was not a sandbag barrier there, he would not have as much defense. If he was not crouched, he would not have as much defense. And in fact, you can only crouch behind some type of barrier. If he was turned away from me rather than towards me, he would not have as much defense. You know all this if you played Valkyria Chronicles before, any of the 3 games. So, I need to get somebody. The Lancer is not going to be that great. You can use them against personnel. I tend to have really bad luck doing that. But I'm going to use them one more time just to blow away that sandbag to make them more vulnerable for an assault from somebody like the Ranger that I have to the right here that can also has just enough range to take a shot at him. So again, one strategy is when you're approaching a heavily defended fortified opponent who's crouched beneath a sandbag is don't worry about blowing away the opponent so much. It's going to take me 2 shots anyway. If you played the game, you know it shows you in the middle upper right now that it's going to take me 2 shots to take out this character. So I'm going to use my shot just to take out the sandbag. Now the other thing about this game is that he gets a chance to shoot back at me. I'm completely undefended right now. So I got to give him his turn to take a crack at me. And since a Lancer is reasonably well fortified, just in terms of his health points and his defensive capability due to the suit he's wearing, he resisted a round undefended from the enemy Ranger. Now I have my Ranger, who I know is up on the top of the building. He's got a fairly decent upgraded rifle. So I think now that the enemy Ranger is undefended, I can take him out. So if I go for a headshot here, my guy has a very accurate weapon. And it's got the range, as you can see, to make this distance, which is a fairly long distance in this game. He's not a sniper, but the rifle has enough distance because it's an upgraded rifle. So we'll see how we do. Not that great. So that was his first turn. So let's move him down and get him a lot closer. And again, if you play Valkyria Chronicles, any of the games, you know what this is all about. And again, you know, way beyond having to know Japanese at this point. I'm going to get him into some kind of defensive posture here. You always want to, if possible, when you're attacking an enemy, or even just whenever you have an opportunity at the end of a character's move to put that character in a defensive position, you're much better off. Because when the enemy comes up and attacks you, you don't always know where they're coming from. That your guy is going to have a lot more potential to stay alive and resist the enemy fire if he's in some kind of defensive posture as opposed to not in a defensive posture. So I can take a crack at him from a lot closer, which is probably what I should have done in the first place. But you know, you don't always make the perfect decisions in this game, nor in any game for that matter. So now it's showing me I have 5 rounds, which is the middle number. It's going to take 7 to take him out if I shoot him in the gut. But you know what? I'm just going to move up. I'm really close range. I'm going to go for a headshot, and it should be no problem unless he ducks, which for some reason in Valkyria Chronicles 3, nobody seems to duck very much. So he's gone, which is cool. Which means I can stand up. And again, you know, you see that little Japanese prompt for the circle in the middle? You know from playing this game that means crouch or stand up. Crouch or stand up. And if I approach the flag for the enemy base and I want to capture it, you know I'm going to get a prompt that now means capture. So now that prompt is not crouch or stand up, that prompt means capture. And you kind of memorize the Japanese characters after a while. And voila. I've taken the enemy base, my morale will go up, and I'm looking pretty good. I'm going to put him away. Now that circle prompt changes to, do you want to retire this character? I'm trying to think of a better word for it. But in other words, do I want to take him off of here for now, just so I have more flexibility to deploy other characters? I have no reason to leave him here. If somebody does manage to break back through here, I always have my my Lancer to take it right back, hopefully. So now I'm going to look at what nice thing about Valkyria Chronicles 2 is, or 3 is, as in 2, the maps are divided up. So I'm in Area 1 right now, Area 2, this is Area 3, I believe, Area 4. Okay, there's 4 areas. And I can also see it, of course, in the lower left of the screen if I was being more helpful for you. So as I was saying, you use bases with numerals on them, or the little transport icon next to the flag in the lower middle of the screen. Use the bases to transfer between areas. So once I've taken that base on in Area 1, I know that in Area 2, there's now a base that I own also. So I need to flip over to Area 2, and before my turn's over, I only have 2 command points left in the upper left-hand corner if you take a look. I need to make sure I defend that sucker. So usually, best option is put a shock trooper in defensive position. So good old my hero here, I think it's Kurt, is a shock trooper. I should have had him deployed because that star next to his name indicates that as long as I have him deployed, I get an extra command point to start every turn. So I can just put him here. And he's going to camp out because he's strong, very strong character. And I'm just going to put him right here. Like I said, put him behind a barrier and crouch him down. And he should be able to take on all comers unless a tank or a boss rumbles up and attempts to take him out. And I'll end his turn. I'm not going to try and do anything. I just want him there. So that camp is defended. So cool. 1 is covered. 1 is done. 2 is done. At any point, these characters are kind of left behind. When they're at a base, if you never played the series before, I can cursor over them and I can remove them from that base because they're at a base without consuming any command points. If they're not at a base, I have to expend a command point to remove that character from the board. So, because eventually I have 3 characters who are going to be doing nothing. I'm going to need them elsewhere, especially the tank, you might guess, and the sniper. I only have 1 anti-personnel sniper right now in terms of my roster. And at some point I'm going to take them away. So, I'm going to eventually probably remove these folks, but not right now. I'm going to leave them out here because the way the game works, if you played Chronicles before, you know that if I highlight the base, it's going to tell me some details about this area. And what it's telling me is that the top number is I'm allowed 9 personnel on the entire board for this mission, which is true of all missions for the most part. There are some that are less personnel. So 9 total people deployed across all 4 of these areas we've looked at. And then I have, in this particular area, I'm allowed a maximum of 5 people per area. And so far I have 3 in this area. That's what the second row is showing. And the third row, I don't even know. It might be enemy numbers, but I'm not sure. The other thing I'm looking at why I saw it without commenting on it. Those of you who played Valkyria Chronicles before are probably wondering, hey Dave, what happened when you put that cursor over Kurt over there? Whoops, sorry. What's that second row? It says CP1, SP1. So in this group, there are scouting parties. And so if I look at Kurt and I look at that CP1, SP1, I can take people with Kurt if they're in that base. Now, I've never used this playing the entire game, and like I said, I'm well into it. I'm like probably 3/4 at least through. I haven't used this capability at all, haven't had to. It's probably really cool, but it's just to show you, if you've played 2 and you're worried about being able to enjoy 3, you don't have to worry about it at all, because you can play a lot of the same strategies you played in 2 and just have a great time with the game anyway. Of course, the thing about Japanese, if you don't understand it or read it or speak it, you're not going to enjoy any aspects of the story mission. I personally have the Valkyria Chronicles 3 Artworks book on order, and I know it has a lot of story details, so I'm going to let that book kind of fill me in on that stuff.